Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, 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 won't you let the light shine through? In the sky, gazing far into the night, I raise my hand.
Hello everybody and welcome into the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Truck Series live from Richmond Raceway. We're in the middle of the round of 16 and we got a good one in store for you here tonight. Some short track action. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You are watching Austin Green on Ghost Racing Network. Qualifying complete, drivers gridded up, and as the pace laps get started here tonight, let's start with your race info. It is the winning bid 165. Back of the Craftsman Truck Series as we've been all season. Total distance tonight going to be 165 laps around this just under, I believe just under half a mile, actually just under 3/4 of a mile. Short track, track temp 71 degrees with overcast skies, winds at 12 miles an hour, 69 degrees, the temperature outside. Race breakdown in terms of what these guys have in the pits here tonight. 4 sets of tires, 95% fuel. Do have that one fast pair fixed setups as always, and then a stage brake on lap 55. 3 green, white checkers as well if we were to need them. And that leads us into your starting grid. How about taking the pole? It's going to be David Traylor in the 54. Rolling off on the outside pole tonight, it's going to be Eric Hegdahl for Mo Powa. Back in the 3rd position, it is Clinton Woodby with Joe Yakes to his outside in 4th. Mark Beverly in 5th. Jonathan Herbert back in 6th. It's going to be Michael Newman in 7th with Evan Schilling in 8th. Jesse Calloway 9th. And Keith Prince rounding out your top 10. Colton Hardy will roll off 11th. And it's Jay Stinson to the outside of row number 6. Haas Beverly will start in 13th with Nicholas Lawrence to his outside in 14th. Jeremy Tolley in 15th with Brody Benty in 16th. Jesse Wyatt 17th, Rick LePage in 18th, Andrew Hansley 19th, and Bill Hales rounds out your top 20 and the total field here tonight. 20 trucks, a little bit less than usual, but of course you kind of expect that when you get to the playoffs, and you know that all the playoff guys, or at least just about all of them, are going to show up. I know Kevin Winker did have some technical issues, so he will be the exception to that. Very humid day out, by the way. I know we saw it when we had the weather up, but I'll pop it up one more time on the right of your screen. There you see the humidity 100%, so that's why it looks a little bit foggy down the backstretch. Not much we can do about it. Point being, though, we got a great race getting ready to get underway. Still one race to go after this, still in the round of 16, but get a win tonight. Don't have to sweat it next week. Here we go. Green flag in the air. We are racing at Richmond. Lap 1 is going to go to David Traylor in the 54 as they quickly get things sorted out through majority of the field. A little bit of 2x2 action, though, further back, almost 3 wide now, as Haas Beverly is trying to gather that truck up. He's looking to the inside here of Jay Stinson, but he's got his hands full, just trying to hold on to it, much less make the pass at the same time. These two are going to continue their drag race down the front stretch. Notice that it's curved down the front stretch here at Richmond, and that makes 3 and 4 run really much different than 1 and 2. A big arc hard on the brakes as you get down into turn number 1. And then 3 and 4 is a little bit more shallow of an entry to the corner, and you can get that big wide arc off with that curved front stretch. And all things considered for a short track, the speeds here almost 150 miles an hour, so these guys by no means are necessarily driving down the straights like it's a short track. And that's what makes Richmond one of the cool kind of hybrid type feeling tracks between something, say, like Martinsville and a mile and a half, which is still another 3/4 bigger than the one we're at here tonight. Last week these guys were at, I believe it was Sin City, Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Weren't there for it, but nonetheless, what a great race it was, and never disappoints in terms of drama, the way the points set themselves up. And we'll have to talk about what the points are looking like here tonight. But last week, getting himself locked in, Jesse Calloway in the 4, getting the win. By the way, it was Bill Hales at Daytona last time we were broadcasting. But in terms of the point standing, I said that, of course, Jesse Calloway, noting him as the winner last week, and what that does, he gets himself, I believe, locked into the next round by getting that win. So he should be in pretty good shape, and that'll also move him up the board in general. But David Traylor, who was leading the points going into the playoffs, picking right up where he left off, at least from where we left off, I should say. Again, haven't been here in a week or so, but nonetheless, assuming, just based off what you can see in some of the names in it, any of the guys that have a red banner and a red spoiler are the playoff drivers. You see Mark Beverly now working his way into the mix just behind Eric Kegdahl. And the ones that just have the normal Asphalt Outlaws Racing decal up top are still, you know, just the normal season drivers, but the guys who did not quite make it, at least above that cut line for the round of 16. Keith Prince, one of your playoff drivers, with trouble early here as he has already made his way down to the pits. Not sure what's going on for the 3 here as he is rolling mighty slow. Pace speed here at Richmond not very fast, but oh, there's smoke out of the back of that truck, so that would explain it. He must have blew a motor here. I wonder if, did he downshift? What happened here to Keith Prince, as he's going to have to use that 1 faster pair in a hurry. Or I guess I should say use that 1 faster pair early, if you will. And let's back this up here just before the pits and see if this was something that happened recently. You would have to assume that it was just the last lap or so. No, the motors already went kaboom by that point. Where does he blow it up at here? You see the smoke still out of the back. This happened at least a lap ago, it looks like here. I'm not sure what happened here to Keith. To blow a motor like that is just something that you don't see, and then to ride around with a blown motor that long, something that you see even less of. And oh, well, that would explain how he blew the motor, as this was over a handful of laps or so ago. Watch what's going to happen here. He just gets loose. He just gets loose, and man, nowhere to run. That's a hard hit into that concrete inside retaining wall. And so that would explain what destroyed the engine. But again, there was no contact here. I know it's a little fuzzy, but we'll try to get a view from the chopper here. And just gets loose, starts laying down his own tire tracks. He's trying to catch it, trying to stay in the throttle. Sometimes you can be your own worst enemy when you're trying to save a truck, but just a really unfortunate break there. He tried to drive around a couple laps with the damage, but that truck was hurting, and I think it was a good idea to take it to the pits when he did. Was maybe hoping for a caution, not sure what the case was, but did not get one. And with the time that he was out on track limping, plus the pit stop, Keith Prince now finds himself in a really, really tough spot, as he is at least 1 lap down, potentially a couple more. But still a long ways to go, a lot of things to happen, still a stage break to play out. But right here, he really needs to try to not lose another lap to David Traylor in the 54. Who is still your leader, took the pole and has led every lap since. And it's Joe Yates back in second. You see the red spoiler and front nameplate for him on the windshield. No surprise to see him make his way into the playoffs after getting his first and so far only win of the season. Surprisingly, to say the least with that, but it was at Atlanta Motor Speedway in a photo finish with Isaac Smallwood. Then you've got Clinton Woodby in the 92. We're going to see if he can maybe get the job done here tonight. He's had some speed at a couple of the short tracks we've been to this season. And I know it doesn't directly compare, but a track that I remember him having really race dominant speed at, but just couldn't quite cap the job off or get it done, was at Rockingham, back where Mark Beverly got the win. What a crazy race that was. Eric Hegdahl for Mo Power, side by side here with Mark Beverly. Mark on the inside looking for even just a little bit of a side draft. You'd be surprised how effective it can actually be here as a driver, because again, these guys are getting, over 140 down the straightaway. That's enough to pick up just a little bit of a draft. And of course, if you can get a little bit of a draft, you can also get a little bit of a side draft. Going to be 19 laps complete as this really still continues to be kind of the big battle, is really the battle for fourth between Hegdahl, Beverly, Callaway, and Michael Newman. Michael Newman right now in that 7th spot. He has not gained or lost a position from where he started this race at least not yet. He's probably going to try to maybe save tires a little bit longer here before it's go time, as there will still be, looks like 36 laps to go on the stage once they complete this next lap. Speaking of Michael Newman, one of the drivers carrying it on board for us here tonight, as we hop on the wheel bar and show you in the real life cockpit for Michael Newman, the driver out of La Crosse, Wisconsin. Boy, he came close a couple times this season as well. Had a couple of great chances. Things not quite working out maybe the way that Michael Newman has felt like it was going to with the speed that he had from the start of the season. But consistency is key, especially in these playoffs with the chase format. Oh man, Jesse Callaway just in front with a big moment. Michael Newman, I bet his eyes lit up right there, as last week's winner almost went for a ride of his own there. Jesse just got a little tight off a turn two. That wall comes up in a hurry. Again, it's not arced like it is down the front stretch. And that Scrub Daddy scheme needs a little bit of a Scrub Daddy right now to get some of the dents and scrapes out of that truck. He tries to dive back down to the bottom, and actually he's going to get that position right back from Michael Newman after losing it with that contact. And speaking of Newman, he's under fire now from Colton Hardy, who's another one of our drivers carrying an onboard camera tonight. Switched to the 97 early on in the season. Since then, has been bringing him pretty good luck. Had a couple struggles towards the end. There was a little bit of a question on whether or not he was going to make the playoff picture. Came all the way down to Daytona for Colton Hardy, but he made it in just barely by a couple spots over the cut line. You look at some of the big names that you thought were going to make it in that come up just shy. Brody Benty, John Shileno, Nick Lawrence even, Jonathan Herbert. All guys that gave it a great last-ditch effort at Daytona, or just had a great season in general, but just didn't quite make it into this first round, the round of 16. And we're going to see 8 of them get eliminated, again, not this week, but next week. We'll talk more about that when we show the schedule here in a little bit. But focusing back in on the on-track action, there's the 2 of Jeremy Tolley just behind, the 8 of Nicholas Lawrence. He will take a look to the bottom of the racetrack. And it's really 2 lines. Again, when you're on the bottom, it's a shorter way around the racetrack, but you've got to stay glued to that yellow. You come off of it, truck gets tight, you got to wait till it rotates back down, especially when you're side by side. And then the outside is just, can you carry more momentum? As, oh man, Nicholas Lawrence does the same thing that we just saw Jesse Callaway do a couple laps ago, as he makes some contact of his own to the outside wall. The Raising Cane 63 Chevy Silverado of Brody Benty tried to take advantage of Lawrence's slip up there, but couldn't do it that time. He'll try again though here through 1 and 2. There you go. See how he just slips up the track ever so slightly, but the 8 gets tight on the outside. So now that gives Brody just enough to draw, or stay even rather, into turn 3. Lawrence though able to roll a little bit more momentum, and yeah, right here it's going to be no contest. The 8 will be able to get back clear, as the 69 Jesse Wise will try to set himself up to do the same. Rick LePage, Andrew Hansley back in the 18th and 19th positions. And if I show you the track map, the leader going to be coming up on lap traffic at some point in this race is, Andrew Hansley actually bringing it down to the pits. This is early for a scheduled green flag stop. Not sure what the issue here for the 29 is, but he is, seems like he's coasting here on the pits. As I wonder if he blew a motor as well. I'm really not too sure what happened here. Let's see how quickly he gets out. Might help us diagnose the issue. Nothing there. He's actually going to shut it off. We'll back it up. Same thing that we did for the incident earlier and see if there's anything obvious here that would explain what brought him down to the pits when it did. And is it just going to be contact with the wall here? It's going to be on the exit of 1 and 2. That's where it looked like there may have been some contact. Just gets in the corner really deep. Driving it up the track. Truck's not sticking, and he definitely gets some pretty significant contact to the right side there, to the outside safer barrier. And so that will now put him behind Keith Prince. Prince still doing a great job though, after he got that blown motor fixed after the early half spin and contact to the inside wall that did not draw the caution. Still holding on to 19th. Not the greatest track position, but he is been able to stay, or has, I guess, just stay, been able to stay in front of David Traylor in that 54 truck. Speaking of David Traylor, he has been your leader so far for every lap that we have ran here tonight. He'd like to continue to have it go that way, but Joe Yates has not let him get out of his grasp. In fact, maybe starting to track him down. The 87 has cut the distance between the 54 and himself down to just over half a second as it stands for now. But David Traylor, guy he normally likes to save tire. I wonder if maybe this run didn't quite save as much as he would have liked. We'll have to see what he's got in the bag of tricks here for these last 22 laps or so when they cross the stripe this next time. And again, that will be for the stage 1 finish. And then, of course, stage 2 going to be the rest of the laps after that, as there is only one stage per race. Now, looking at what points look like after Las Vegas last week, here's where everybody currently stands, at least for the moment. David Traylor still leading in points. Kevin Winker second. Eric Hegdahl back in the third spot. Joe Yates fourth. Actually, I'm not sure. I believe this was after Daytona. Yep, sure enough, actually it was after Vegas. So, yep, these were updated. And it was David Traylor still in the lead. Kevin Winker second in points. Eric Hegdahl third in points. Joe Yates back in fourth. Mark Beverly fifth. Bill Hales in sixth. Keith Prince in seventh. Jesse Calloway back in eighth after getting that win last week. Jay Stinson in ninth. And Clinton Woodby running out your top 10. The rest of the spots just above the cut line. Robert Dudley in 11th. Michael Newman 12th. Jesse Wise 13th. And then really right above the cut line just barely is Jesse Wise back in 13th. Haas Beverly 14th. Colton Hardy 15th. And then Dennis Steele, the last man above that cut line, in 16th. And everybody there doesn't have to worry about dropping out of the top 16. What you do got to worry about, though, is staying in the top 8, because that's what our next round is going to contain of. Actually, I say 8, but these guys do a different format. It was the Championship 5, so it may have actually been the round of 10. And we'll confirm that when we get to our schedule here in just a bit, but actually it may have been the round of 10. The point is, we're going to eliminate at least a handful of drivers after this race and one more. So everybody trying to get points where they can get them, and smaller fields sometimes leads to cleaner racing. When you get cleaner racing, you get more strategy racing. That's what we might see here towards the end of this first stage, to see if some guys maybe try to flip the track position and give up the stage points, or if, of course, you go for those ever-important stage points and potentially a stage win, and then maybe lose a little bit of track position as a result during the pit stop. Joe Yates has now closed it up to within 3 truck lengths, makes it 2 as they exit turn number 2. Go to the onboard here for Joe Yates, as he's going to be putting pressure on Traylor here, and a lot of it momentarily. But getting to him and passing him is two very, very different things. And I think if David Traylor rolls the defensive lane, which I think you got to assume is, I thought it would be the bottom here, but looks like Traylor's taking the top and actually giving that 87 a lane. He's got to be careful, because anytime he gives him a lane like that, a little bit more air on the nose of Joe Yates, and he's able to make that truck turn a little bit better. Not able to make anything happen just yet. We're going to stay focused on this battle, though, for a little bit longer, because it could be a change for the lead here if Joe Yates is able to find his way around David Traylor. Two of the playoff drivers racing each other with a lot of respect here so far tonight, and got to assume that it's going to stay that way, as both of these two know they're going to see each other probably for at least another round, maybe 2 rounds if they both make it to the championship. And you don't want to have any enemies that could potentially hinder your chances at going for the championship at the end of the season. And now Yates looked like he tried to get a run, maybe took a peek. Is he going to dive it in? Trailer still giving him the lane. Yates, he's got to get this truck to rotate under, though, if he's going to have a chance at a move, and he can't quite do it that time. Couldn't make it work right there, but he's going to try it again here, down through 1 and 2. David Trailer still rolling the top. Feels like it's the safest place to be in terms of defense. How hard will he race the 87, though, right now? Looks like he's going to try to stick with him pretty tough here. Holds him off through 3 and 4 with that outside line. By the way, we were at Iowa just a few weeks ago. I'm just reading the chat where it looks like Andrew Hansley was letting us know what happened. We'll get to that in just a moment. But we were at Iowa just a few weeks ago before Daytona. And one of the things that you saw with us being at Iowa, of course, was multiple drivers maybe not having the race they wanted, but what they were all certainly doing was taking notes on how to get better, because Richmond, a very, very similar setup to Iowa, a little bit shorter, but besides that, they're pretty much identical. Turns maybe a little bit sharper as well. The point being, if you had a good truck there, or you learned something about how to get faster there, you knew that you were going to be good this week here at Richmond. Bree Navila, of course, getting the job done back at Iowa. 46 laps complete, and that puts us at exactly 10 laps to go here in stage number 1. Actually, it might be 9. I believe these guys do throw the caution at the start of the stage. Again, I was out for 1 week, so it takes us just a little bit of time to get back into the flow. But, I mean, so far tonight, haven't skipped a beat on track in terms of the action these guys are putting on. As, the 24 of Rick LePage has since gone to the pits for some unwarranted repairs that he wasn't planning on. As Nicholas Lawrence gets into the outside wall, and Keith Prince almost just saw his race go up in flames. He got involved in a wreck earlier, had to use his fast repair, and he almost had to take, he doesn't have another fast repair, but he almost had to go fix some more damage right here. Watch this from the cockpit view. He just sees Lawrence get tight. He realizes it, so he gets out of the throttle. And as close as that was, I think that slight lift out of the throttle right there was the only thing that saved Keith Prince from potentially night-ending damage from the aid of Nicholas Lawrence and his contact with the outside wall. And so Prince now will continue on, still holding on to only 1 lap down. The problem for him is that now Nicholas Lawrence has also lost a lap, and as long as we don't get a caution before the stage break, or the 8's not involved, he would be in position to get the lucky dog, and therefore Keith Prince wouldn't. And you'd have to hope that maybe he could get it if we were to get some other form of caution in that second stage. But with the way the racing's been so far, it doesn't seem like a very caution-heavy race. But you never know. If we get one, start getting multiple of them, and then anybody that's lapped down can get themselves right back into it and get back on the lead lap. Here's the 18 of Evan Schilling in the Reese's machine tonight, and then Jesse Calloway in the 4 Scrub Daddy Chevy Silverado trying to make a move on this 18, but can't make it work just yet. Meanwhile, they got the 97 of Colton Hardy looking to the inside. He misses the bottom a little bit there through 3 and 4, so he'll lose that spot again to Jesse Calloway. Into turn 1, you see the 18 taking that shallower entry, just trying to defend anybody from making a move. But back up front, this guy has not had to worry about defending anybody, because so far Joe Yates, since he's taken the lead, has been able to extend that gap. David Trailer, by the way, who fell to second, is getting ready to fall to third here as Clinton Woodby sets up a move off of turn 2. And now he'll jump to the inside of David Trailer to turn 3. Sliding up a little bit, though. Maybe some slight contact there into the driver's side door. And that's just Woodby having to get a little physical there for some room in the corner. No harm, no foul. Neither truck with any damage. But Trailer might race him a little bit harder now after that contact, saying, I was going to let you have it, but since you're going to bump and bang for it, let's go ahead and race. David Trailer, though, also knowing that there's only going to be a lap left in the stage next time around. Actually, never mind. We take 54 laps complete right there, so that means that this stage, I believe, should conclude at the end of this lap. And so can Keith Prince hold on here for the white flag lap? He's got one more set of corners to try to do so. The 87's going to look high, nothing doing. Keith Prince will stay on the lead lap, but it's going to be Joe Yates who gets the stage 1 victory here at Richmond. Good way to get things started so far here tonight as we await the caution. Still at speed for now, so may have been at the end of this lap. Nope, sure enough, there is the caution. Had to make sure that enough drivers got past the line before the caution was thrown, and got separated pretty quick. All right, so Joe Yates gets the stage win. Clinton Woodby in second. David Traylor third. Eric Hegdahl in fourth. Jay Stinson fifth. Mark Beverly finishes in sixth. Evan Schilling in seventh. Jesse Calloway eighth. Colton Hardy in ninth. And Haas Beverly rounding out your top 10. Well, everybody going to come down for full service fuel and tires. With that in mind, we're going to take a quick break, but we'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. And when we come back, see if we can get a word with your Stage 1 winner, Joe Yates. Stick with us at Richmond. Back live at Richmond Raceway, Stage 1 complete. Pit stops complete, and we have got your Stage 1 winner, Joe Yates, up here in the booth. Joe, this is Austin. You got a copy?
Yes, I do. How you doing?
Well, good, but man, you're looking really fast so far tonight. You got the Stage 1 victory. How'd you manage to pull that strategy off in terms of, did you save tire, or were you going for it the whole time?
Yeah, no, it was all about just trying to take it easy. Kind of went pretty hard to get some good track position, and then it was just kind of settle in and see if Dave would kind of come back to me, and everything seemed to work out. So pretty excited about what we got tonight. Thank you, you too.
Green, green, green.
And I just realized I was muted for it, so you heard that was Stage 1 winner Joe Yates. I was asking a couple questions, and big thing was, how did he pull that strategy off in terms of, was he going for it the whole time? Or did he just save a little bit of tire and then have speed at the end? And said that he saved tire, was just keeping trailer within his grasp, and once he was ready to go, did just that. So as we're back under green here for the final stage, again, just over 100 laps in total distance, and right away, you can tell that the restart here has picked up a little bit more than the last restart that we had for the inaugural start of the race. And still side by side is Clinton Woodby with trailer, but he's quickly realizing that that's going to burn his tires up, so he fades back a little bit, gives trailer the position, and now he will settle into the third spot. Eric Hegdahl back and forth. Jay Stinson with the Rhino Linings 98 paint scheme. He currently sits in fifth. Don't forget, got the win back in Kentucky towards the middle portions of the season. Still looking to see if he can find that second win here sometime in the playoffs. But showing good speed so far here tonight. Next week, by the way, on the scoring tower, along with the driver cards, we will have abbreviations, either C or P, depending on how we decide to go about it, that will give you another way of showing which drivers are in the playoffs versus which ones aren't. But as for tonight, again, keep an eye on those red banners on the windshields and the red spoilers. Those are the guys that are in the round of 16. Joe Yates, David Traylor, Clinton Woodby, Eric Hegdahl, Jay Stinson, Mark Beverly. Evan Schilling is not. You see he does not have a red spoiler, but just behind him, Colton Hardy certainly is. Jonathan Herbert came out just short. Jesse Calloway is. Jesse Wise. Jeremy Tolley, I believe he actually is. Strictly from the win that he got at Talladega earlier in the season. By the way, going back to what happened to Andrew Hansley, you see he's in the chat and said, it seemed like my screen was lagging behind or something and my graphics was messed up, so I decided to pull it in so I don't mess up anyone else's race until I get this figured out. And that's good sportsmanship right there. Says, hey, yeah, I felt like I had an issue. Not going to stay on and potentially affect one of the playoffs guys' race, so gets off. He'll try to get it fixed, and so they appreciate you giving us some insight on that, Andrew. One of the drivers the other night, I believe, suggested that we should do more post-race or post-rec interviews, rather, at the virtual infield care center with guys that just got done being wrecked, see how they feel about it. And it's a pretty good idea, but I think it depends on the scenario, the kind of wreck, the magnitude of the race, and the magnitude, or rather the implications that the wreck has. But here tonight, we have not had any wrecks, at least not any that have brought out a caution. We did see that one towards the start of the race with Keith Prince tagging the inside concrete wall. Since then, it's been clean and green as David Traylor now, the cat and mouse game between him and Joe Yates as he tries to chase down that 87 truck. Still plenty of laps to do so. And by the way, believe there will be at least one green flag pit stop. Don't think there's going to be two, but I definitely think that there will be one green flag pit stop that everybody's got to make. So I just don't know if they can make quite 100 laps on fuel. Again, it is a short track. They can go pretty far, but that still seems to be just a little bit too far. But that window will open pretty early, potentially around lap 100, even sooner than that. And so how early do you go in? Tires are very, very important here. And the fall off is pretty severe, so don't want to push it too early, but you also don't want to go into the pits too early either. As that was Clinton Woodby, followed by Eric Hegdahl. You see Jay Stinson still pretty close to the back bumper here of that 11 truck. And Mark Beverly on a bit of an island by himself. Then Evan Schilling behind him. And all these guys all trying to get clustered back up and get back towards the leaders. 72 of 165 laps complete. Let's go and see what the schedule is looking like here and break down what makes this series unique. And the biggest thing is the fact that we don't go from a round of 16 to a round of 8. We go from a round of 16 to a round of 10. So still going to see a lot of your favorite drivers that are currently in the playoffs with a chance to move on to the next round, as it is, again, 2 more spots than what we would maybe see in normal life or in real life. But next week we head to Michigan Motor Speedway, to Irish Hills, the fastest D-shaped oval in all of NASCAR in terms of non-super speedway wise, at least. That is going to be a fun one for sure. That'll be a mix of what you see at a track like Daytona or Talladega, along with a 1.5 miles as well. A downforce, a lot of speed, going to be a fun one for sure. That will conclude the round of 16 though, and then for the round of 10, we kick things off with Charlotte Motor Speedway. Then we head back to the Brickyard Bristol Motor Speedway, Talladega on June 14th, and then finishing the season at Kansas Speedway for the Championship 5. Again, one more than what we're used to seeing, so a lot of exciting stuff to look forward to, but we got to kind of click the boxes off one at a time to get to each one, in terms of races, that is. The 87, though, of Joe Yates continues to lead here at Richmond. Right now, he's got his gap up to almost a second over second place David Traylor. Clinton would be back in third, and now looks like Hegdahl is maybe starting to become a little bit of a roadblock here, as Stinson had been working to try to get around him for the last couple laps and was able to do so, and it's pulling a couple others into the mix. And I'll tell you what, it is so frustrating as a driver when you're trying different moves, trying to get a run, and you can't get one, even when there's a guy in front of you you feel like taking it conservative. You're like, man, if you want to do that, just let me go. But Higdal doesn't have to, and he doesn't seem like he is going to here. Going to make Stinson work for it. 78 of 165 laps complete, and there we go. David Traylor doing exactly what he saw a couple other guys do there in stage 1, and that is save some tire, as he will make his way slowly but surely back to the leader. And once he does, he'll have a chance and an opportunity to set up potentially that one perfect move to get the stage victory. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens. All right, it'll be officially 80 laps to go, or excuse me, 80 laps complete as Joe Yates crosses the line this next time. That puts us just short of the halfway mark in this 165-mile event. So with that, we are going to take another quick break, but we will go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Richmond. Welcome back to the winning bid 165, the Asphalt Outlaws Racing Truck Series at Richmond. Up front, it is still Joe Yates. Right now, the gap between him and David Traylor is about 1.3 seconds. No more scheduled cautions unless we were to get one for incidents. However, we do still have a scheduled green flag pit stop at some point. Question's going to be, who is the first of the drivers in this field to go? Messy Bun Mama says, Jeremy Tolley's youngest is here watching. Says, let's go. And so far, Jeremy Tolley, he's had a pretty good night. Right now, he is in that 12th spot. He's up 3 positions from where he started this race at. rocking the paint scheme. I believe that is the scheme that he won from when he won at Talladega this season. He, of course, won from one of the league sponsors, Sonic Graphic Design. Good looking truck and getting a good run with it so far up to this point. As for battles on track right now, there's really not too much going on. Eric Hegdahl has separated himself just a little bit from Jay Stinson. That's the battle for 4th. Mark Beverly trying to hang in that mix as well. Back 9th, 10th, 11th. We've got a little bit of action here as you see Jesse Wise has been working on Jonathan Herbert here, trying to find a way around. Hasn't been successful just yet, but the 69, oh, actually, he lost all sorts of momentum that time as he fades to the front bumper down. Jesse Calloway. The Scrub Daddy truck. Not sure if he was rolling that paint scheme when he got his first win of the season last week or what, but tonight it's went a little bit in the wrong direction so far as he's back outside the top 10 by a spot, but still would be a good finish. Overall, if he could hold on, heard somebody there with major motor trouble. Not sure who that was or what happened. Might have been one of the guys sitting on the pits. Nonetheless, though, with us showing you the track map right there, in fact, pull it up one more time just briefly here. The first place truck of Joe Yates, look on the track map and also look out of his windshield here. No lap traffic anywhere in sight right now. That's how he likes it and wants to keep it that way here for as long as he can, but there is a chance he will catch some lap traffic here before this race is all said and done, as right now you see that first wave of lap traffic about halfway down the back as he enters turn 1. So if he continues the blistering pace that he's putting down right now, it's just a matter of time. But again, so far, just you really got to give a hats off to these guys tonight for no cautions at a short track after what we saw at tracks such as Martinsville and a couple others. Everybody been doing a phenomenal job tonight, keeping it clean, keeping it respectful. We've already seen examples of some drivers going the extra mile, such as Andrew Hansley, to maybe giving their race up a little bit if they felt like it was going to affect the playoff picture, and sets us up for what is going to be a good one next week in Michigan. Man, I cannot wait. There's certain tracks, I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it as a broadcaster. There's certain tracks that you like and some that you don't. You do them all, but Michigan is one of those ones that I look forward to racing, broadcasting, anything surrounding it. It is still, in my opinion, one of the coolest tracks on the schedule. Update on Keith Prince. Forget he went a lap down early due to an issue, had to make a pit stop. He unfortunately did not get the lucky dog, as it was actually Nicholas Lawrence who got it under that stage brake. So still finds himself a lap down, has decent speed, but again, he just needs that caution brake. Not sure if he's going to get it, as we have now hit 65 laps to go here at Richmond. Joe Yates gap now up over 2.5 seconds. That's over a second since we last checked for the 87, as Clinton Woodby has found a way around David Traylor, who falls to that last podium position for now. Eric Hegdahl looks like he may be slowly tracking down the 54 as well, though. See if he can get by him and pick up another spot. Jay Stinson back, rounding edge top 5. Mark Beverly in 6th. Evan Schilling, one of the non-playoff drivers, who's having a terrific run here so far tonight. That's the driver out of Newark, Delaware. Colton Hardy in 8th. Driver out of Petersburg, West Virginia. Little bit of damage to the right side of his truck. Telling you, he probably hit something. Maybe just kissed the outside wall. Nothing too bad. Doesn't seem like it's affecting him at all. And then Jonathan Herbert and Jesse Calloway, these two are like magnets right now. They cannot get away from each other. Calloway has been trying here. By the way, this is the battle for 9th. To make the pass, he keeps setting him up, and then he loses all his momentum, fades, and he gets himself a run. Looks for another move, doesn't work, and loses momentum again. But I think he's starting to realize more and more that he really needs to get around this 88 truck. I think that 4's got more speed than what he's able to show for right now, being stuck where he's at. He's got to be careful here because Jesse Wise is looking to make a move of his own, and if one of these two, or both of them, potentially slip up as they just did right there, both of them way up the racetracks. This go from the door for Wise. It isn't, but Calloway will get even down the back. Jesse Calloway is going to dive it into the corner hard on the brakes, trying anything. Now he slides up a little bit. Can he keep the throttle down? Oh, just barely, but I think Jonathan Herbert's going to get clear again. Maybe no. They both dive it in really deep again. The 4 washes up the track. The 88 washes up even higher. But again, the outside showing that it can get the momentum at the right times there. Is, again, nothing Jesse Calloway can do right there. Is he just kind of got out-cornered, if you will. Watch these brake rotors here going in the turn. I wanted to see if we could see them glowing potentially at all, but it doesn't look like it. And I'm starting to think that, yeah, there it is. I was just getting ready to say Calloway maybe thinking about using the chrome horn here on Jonathan Herbert. Will we see any retaliation here? We will. Herbert's going to try to take him out. Can't do it. Jonathan Herbert went for the payback shot. Did not work. Jesse Calloway holds on, but boy, he better hope that the 88 doesn't get back there again. Well, it's a short track, and anytime we're at a short track, we usually see tempers flare at some point. And Calloway had been trying and felt like couldn't make it work on the outside or the inside, and said, okay, if I'm not going to be able to get around you trying to pass, I'll go ahead and boot you out of the way and take the fastest way. Exactly what he does right here. Just slight contact there to the right rear, but that wasn't the contact that really gets him out of shape. It's this bump right here. Boom. A little bit offset, but that was definitely letting him know I'm trying to get through. And he gets the 88 out of shape and completes the first goal. And then I think this was pretty cut and clear what Jonathan Herbert had planned right here. He said, okay, you want to get me out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and get you out of the way as well. Fortunately, though, backfires on him a little bit there, as he's actually the one that gets out of shape when he hits the 4. Nonetheless, no harm, no foul. I'll tell you what, as a spectator, certainly keeps me entertained. Let's go to the cockpit view for the 88 here of Jonathan Herbert. Actually, we'll go to both cockpit views here. First, Calloway. I don't think he actually meant to hit him right there. He did give him a little shot for sure, but I'm thinking actually on the second look that didn't mean to, and then I think Herbert maybe meant to a little bit, as it didn't look like he necessarily got out of the throttle early or tried to cut before any brakes. Nonetheless, though, how it's turned out for both of them, Calloway has now broken back into the top 10. Herbert has fallen almost out of the top 15, but he's still holding on to 14th for now. And then Joe Yakes in a different zip code now, still hanging on to an over 2.5 second lead. Clinton Woodby trying to trim it down, but he's going to have to start picking up the pace in a hurry, because eventually you're going to start running out of laps. 50 to go here is a lot different than, say, 50 to go at a track like Las Vegas last week or a Daytona. It's only 0.72 miles around Richmond Raceway. The lap times, they click off pretty quick. Clinton Woodby might have his hands full here in just a moment as well, with Eric Hegdahl in the 11, who's now found some speed, and not sure if it was a little tire saving or just found something that works, but the 11 is now trying to make a run himself towards the front as they continue to do so. I think it's time for a little crank it up here at Richmond. Here we go. And that's going to wrap it up for tonight's segment of Crank It Up, because we have some pit stops underway. Colton Hardy, Mark Beverly, and a couple others. The first group to come down, Jesse Calloway, looks like was the other one to bring it down to the pits here. And man, oh man, once the cycle starts, it just continues to go till everybody's eventually cycled through here. Question's going to be, when do your leaders come in? Ooh, David Traylor got the jump just a little bit here on Joe Yakes. I think that'll force Yakes' hand. He'll have to pit this next time, I would assume. Bill Hale's out, Jeremy Tolley. And I said trailer, but Clinton Woodby is still out, the man running second. So if you're Joe Yakes, you may not have to pit just yet. And now, of course, the longer Yakes goes, he'll be able to play offense when he comes out versus anybody who short pits, maybe having the lead once it all cycles through, but having to play a lot of defense the rest of the way just to hold on. So we'll have to see here how this strategy pans out. But I think as of right now, if we don't get any unscheduled or unwanted cautions, unwarranted rather, Joe Yakes is in pretty good shape here. I said earlier about that first win that he got at Atlanta some time ago towards the middle portions of the season, and it's been a little bit of a dry streak since, but did not take long as he has figured it back out. And tonight looking as strong as he has since that Atlanta win. Evan Schilling getting past the 63 there. Brody Benty out for position. Clinton Woodby, Eric Hegdahl, second and third place running trucks. They now bring it down for their final stop of the night. And it is the money stop too. You have got to be perfect. Any mistakes here going to cost you in a pretty big way. As, oh, just as I say it, the 11 of Hegdahl slid past his box, backed it up, didn't quite get far enough, had to do it twice. And, ooh, that cost him a lot of time. Eric Hegdahl here taking 4 tires. I think Woodby tried some strategy here. I think Woodby only took 2. Well, that was an interesting call. Based off where he was running, it's not a bad idea, but I just don't know. And caution is out. That'll change everything as Jeremy Tolley with trouble. The 2 truck finds himself in the grass. First caution for incident here tonight. And now that is going to shuffle some things up. Michael Newman had not pit yet when the caution came out. So right now he is being scored as your leader. But again, that is going to change here as he still has to make a stop himself. And man, oh man, Joe Yakes did not want to see that. I don't think he was lined up to have such a good run all the way to the finish and capture that win, but it had been clean all night. You still had that little bit of a feeling somewhere that there'd be at least one at some point, and there it is. You saw Michael Newman bring it down, as does Nicholas Lawrence. So it will hand the lead back to Joe Yakes. So not a bad spot, but again, now it's kind of, I would still consider it probably a late race restart, which is usually when we see the aggression level really start to ramp up, and cautions can breed cautions. Before we go any further though, let's go back and see what brought out this caution right here. Again, it was Jeremy Tolley in the 2 who's going to go for a spin here through the infield. And does he just lose it by himself? Yes, he does. Coming off a 4, gets a little bit loose. He locks it down, does a good job here. Actually, he's going to slide off the racing surface, but that slide was just long enough on the racing surface to still draw the caution. And so again, it is the first one of the night here for a 1-truck incident. He didn't get any damage on his spin, so oh, wow, that was a really odd look. I mean, that truck snapped around on him so quick. Didn't even look like he really had time to react here. Truck looks like it's turning good. Then right there, boom. Just a little bit too much power. The rear tires aren't catching. Goes for a slide. Give you another view of this here from TV3. And we'll zoom into the TV1 view before we go back live. Fire out of the pipes. He did a good job getting out of the throttle when he did. Again, not making that worse. Potentially going down and tagging the inside wall. Lucky that he didn't get hit right there by Jesse Wise, who, man, oh man, just barely able to jump high and get out of the way. Certainly a very, very close call right there. Let's go to the onboard here for Jesse Wise. Show you exactly how close it was. Man, not much room to work with, but everybody a nice job avoiding that one. All right, back live. It is Joe Yakes being scored as your leader. Mark Beverly in second. Jay Stinson third. Michael Newman fourth. And Colton Hardy running out your top 5. Do we get the one-to-go signal this time? Or are we going to go one more? That's the big question right here. Looks like Jesse Wise, by the way, towards the end of the lead lap. We got a couple guys here hoping to get a lap back. That's 53 of Bill Hales. The 18 of Evan Schilling. I'll tell you what, while we've got a moment here, while we're still under caution, flash you back real quick. Well, actually, I guess we can't because it wasn't an official incident. But remind you of that incident that happened with Jesse Calloway and Jonathan Herbert that almost led to a caution. And those two getting a little bit of a heated, not debate about it, but certainly seemed pretty heated on the track about it. Let's see how Jonathan Herbert felt about it. Hey, John, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. You got me?
Yeah, well, man, we saw a little bit of on-track fireworks there between you and Jesse Calloway. Break us down a little bit of what went on between you two.
Oh, nothing, man. We were just expressing our love for each other and his wonderful passing technique, I guess.
Well, I was going to say, he took a shot at it. It worked. Did you try to take a shot back at it?
Oh, of course not. We wouldn't do that. Now we're just racing hard and trying to maintain position.
Well,
we want to keep this Ridge Power Sport in the top 10. We've been running in the top 10 all night, and the truck's pretty well hooked up. I don't think it's a winner, but we're going to try our best to put it up here with this lap back.
Well, I won't fish anymore. You've been doing good so far tonight. Keep it up. Hopefully you get it back, and hopefully we're talking to you at the end of this thing.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That was Jonathan Herbert. There you go. And I think he gave you all the answer you need right there. Let you know indirectly that he did take a little shot back. Nonetheless, though, back under green here. And Joe Yates with a great restart. He was able to get out and away from the rest of the mayhem. Good news for Yates, bad news for everybody else. But it's a little bit more of a short run setup here. When they cross the line next time, it's only going to be 36 laps to go. So it's not even quite the same distance as what stage 1 was. And that means that you can afford to push these tires probably a bit more than you have the rest of the race, trying to save it for long run. So we'll see if that's what everybody decides to do here. And of course, we get another caution, which, man, we almost hit right there. David Traylor, Keith Prince, and Haas Beverly, a close moment between all of those trucks. See Traylor there on the inside in the 54, trying to get clear of Hegdahl. He's going to be able to do so. He'll slide up in line. Eric Hegdahl, no move to the inside is Keith Prince. I mean, what a comeback. Talked about he needed a caution. He got it, and he has taken full advantage of it, at least so far. Traylor gets in front of the 22, but now is in danger of losing a position to the 11 here of Hegdahl as they continue to go door to door. It is Yates, though, continuing to lead Mark Beverly in second. Michael Newman back in third. Newman getting a big break with that caution, helping him out with the strategy call of staying out as late as he did. And now, look at this. Looking to maybe make a move on Mark Beverly here. Maybe uses the chrome horn himself. No contact just yet. It's two different lines, which is really interesting here. Watch this. In the middle of the corner, Newman's able to get a little bit lower, a little bit sooner. And I think that's what's hurting Mark Beverly. But so far, Beverly's able to hold on by taking a little bit more of the defensive approach. So we'll see if he can continue to hold on here for another about 30 laps or so. No more pit stops expected the rest of the way. The only pit stop you would really think about here is if we get a caution, you've got an extra set of tires, you go in and take them. That would be it, though. Track position, as important as it is, you may not even go in for that. One man that really kind of got hurt by that strategy and when the caution flew was Clinton Woodby, as he took the 2 tires, and that's a strategy call that you make really in hopes that it's going to go green the rest of the way, and got the caution just after he came out of his pit stop. So as a result, he now finds himself back just outside of the top 5. The battle in the 97 here of Colton Hardy, pretty tough to try to get that spot back. And by the way, I should mention, with Michigan being next week, that is still considered a little bit of a wild card race. Not completely, but with how much the draft plays a factor there in these trucks, certainly a little bit less out of your control than, say, a track like Richmond. So if you're Joe Yates or even Jesse Calloway, who of course already got a win this round, I mean, you're going for it next week. Rack off any bonus points, playoff points you can get, because you've already got a win and you're already looking good to get yourself into the round of 10. But Joe Yates still knows that there is 30 laps, and that means that there's 29 that there could be a caution on. Actually make it 28 now as they cross the stripe that time, that we could still see a caution. But as things start to get more spread out, that chance goes down more and more. And right now, looks like, ooh, we got one coming off the pits here. That's Haas Beverly. Yikes. Oh, Haas Beverly and Jesse Wise have crashed. This just happened just a couple laps ago. What in the world here? Watch. See if we can figure out what goes wrong with these two here. I might have been, couldn't tell if it was 2 separate incidents. Oh, the 69 Same thing that we saw with Keith Prince earlier. We're coming off of turn number 2. Just the back end starts to slide out. Tries to catch it. Too late, locks it down, but nowhere to hide, and hits that inside wall pretty good. That was the contact for Jesse Wise. And then this was the contact for Haas Beverly here. And I think it's probably going to be another carbon copy. What we just saw there, no help, just gets loose, and look at that. I mean, he is almost painting over the tire tracks of both other trucks that we have seen with an issue here tonight in that same exact spot. And watch it from the onboard view. The truck, once it slips out, it's just too hard to catch. You try not to overcorrect, but when it doesn't straighten out, you just don't have enough time, even when you lock it down, to stop before you get to that inside concrete wall. Here's one more look at it from the chopper view. And he knows that he's going to be in danger hitting the outside wall if he doesn't put more wheel into it, so that's what he does. And just does not work out too well for him right there. So as we go back up front, Joe Yates continues to lead, but I'm telling you, Michael Newman, he has not thrown in the cards just yet. He is half a second back, and it seems like he might be closing it up a little bit here. This is where, as a driver, you've got to lock into that zone, get in a rhythm in each lap. You got to be putting down qualifying laps to catch back up. You are no longer giving up positions, and you are fighting for every position, as you never know when you get another caution. If you get a caution, if not, can you hold a guy off? Helmet, I mean, it's going to come down to a matter of a couple points that are separating the guys that made the cut and the guys that didn't at the end of the season. And there we go, caution is out. And so now that will change the strategy play around yet again, as it's Brody Benty this time in the 63, who's got some damage to the right front of his Chevy Silverado. And actually all the way down the right side of that Raising Cane's truck. Makes me think he had to have made some contact with the wall, presumably the outside one. And that caution flies with 22 laps to go, and oh man. Well, this is going to surely make the strategy call interesting. We'll look at that in just a moment, but is he going to get some help here? I think he is. From Jeremy Tolley. 63 starts to wash up. The 2 gets under. I think just taps him there in the left rear, and oh man, that's a pretty hard hit there for Brody Benty. Into the outside safer barrier. Go to the chopper view for this. It almost seemed like there was a check up there. Really interesting. Watch this. Not really a checkup. He's just getting up the track, and then once he gets tagged, then it's just trying to save it from there, and he's not quite able to do it. But boy, Jeremy Tolley had a heck of a run here through the corner. Not sure if it was new tires versus old tires or what the deal was, but I think Tolley realized, but just realized a little bit too late, that he had too much speed. He was going to get into Brody Benty. That's a big hit right here. The outside wall. See it rip the front nose and right front quarter panel off of that car initially. Right front fender, I should say. So as we go back live, strategy call. What's it going to be here for everybody? I think, not sure if they pit that lap or if they're going to pit this lap. We're looking at it right now to figure out exactly who all went in and who decided to stay out here. Here we go. This was the pace car, and these were the decisions. And it's an important one. That's why we're looking back at it here. Joe Yakes, Michael Newman followed. Did anybody fake and stay out? It doesn't look like we had any takers up to this point here. And doesn't look like it. Everybody decides to go in, and that's really, I mean, it's not too big of a surprise there. Haas Beverly may have stayed out. Interesting there. We'll see how that played out, but shouldn't be too much of a surprise to see all the people that pit, because again, it's still going to be about 20 laps to go, which while it's not much time, it's still 20 laps worth of tire wear. So you got to have fresh set on to have a chance. It's exactly what most of the field decided to do. Now 2 and 4 tires, that's where it got a little interesting, but it is Clinton Woodby being scored as your leader, David Traylor second, Colton Hardy back in third with Joe Yakes in fourth, Michael Newman rounding out your top 5. See if the lights go off on the pace car. They do not. It means we're going at least one more round, so we will take another quick break, but we'll go side by side. Stick with us. We will be right back for the restart at Richmond. All right, here we go. Back with the winning bid, 165, and a 17-lap sprint to the finish to decide the winner in race 2 of round 1 in the playoffs. Green flag back in the air. Clinton Woodby gets a great jump, but you've got a lot of heavy hitters, including what I would assume is the race favorite by now, Joe Yakes, just a few spots behind. And that 87 truck, watch him dig on the outside here, trying anything to get both of these positions and set himself up to try to chase down that 92 here before it's all said and done. Still stuck on the outside, though, for now is Joe Yakes, as Michael Newman is now going to take a peek to the inside down the front stretch. Doesn't look like anything's doing that time. Yakes really needs to get clear. That time he got held up by the 97, but is he going to get clear the 12 and the 3? Yes, he does. And Yakes is going to take it right down to the bottom of the racetrack. Meanwhile, up front, Clinton Woodby continues to lead. David Traylor in a close second. Colton Hardy in third, looking for his first win of the season. Oh, Michael Newman goes around. Just was getting ready to be racing for the lead. And instead, he brings out your 4th caution of the night. And he will send us into a restart now with less than 10 laps to go. Potentially 10 laps to go. Man, I think this was just really hard racing, and it's at that point where guys, they're not worried about taking it conservative. They're pushing it, and when you're pushing it, there's more of a chance to potentially push it past the limit. Cautions breed cautions, and pretty much, well, yeah, just a little bit too much of a slide there. I wouldn't call it a wreck. I really wouldn't. He didn't spin it around, but it's just a little bit too much of a slide, and actually, I know this is a little bit, we'll call it nerdy for a moment, but iRacing has certain angles that a truck has to reach of being sideways for it to consider that truck spinning or loss of control, whatever you want to call it. And it's usually probably somewhere around 45 degrees maybe. Something right around that area. The point was, whatever it is, Michael Newman must have broke it because it was enough to draw the yellow. Even though he didn't hit anything, didn't spin out, he just got loose. Same thing we saw with Jeremy Tolley a couple times so far tonight, and a couple others. Truck just starts to come around. He realizes it quick and does the right thing by getting out of the throttle and just steering it, and corrects it initially, but a little bit of an overcorrect is what sent him back up the track. And wow, there was a couple of really, really close calls there. Thankfully, though, nobody hit him. TV3 view showing you just how close that call was right there for the 8 of Nicholas Lawrence. I'll give you one more view of this here from the flag cam. So you saw the sliding 12 come into frame. Quickly leave it. Let's go back live. Michael Newman lost some positions, but that's about it. So no harm, no foul. Let's go back up front. Clinton Woodby still being scored as your leader, up 2 positions in total from where he started this race at. David Traylor 2nd, Colton Hardy in 3rd, Joe Yakes 4th, Mark Beverly in 5th. Well, Clinton Woodby has had a great season, as has David Traylor. Colton Hardy talked about it. It's been up and downs, but he was able to bring it home at the end when it mattered most to get himself in position, and now finds himself in position here potentially tonight to go home a winner in the 2nd race of the 1st round of the playoffs. Let's see what the strategy is going to be here. Hey, Colton Hardy, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, here we go. Looking for that first win on the season still. And what a time it would be to do it. 2nd race of the playoffs. Starting 3rd here. What's going to be the strategy to try to capture that first win?
I mean, if first win falls in our lap, we'll take it. I'm not really looking to push the envelope with the whole points situation right now. We need points more than anything. So I'd love to see Clinton get the win, my teammate, and then me finish 3rd. That would be huge point stays for both of us. But we're going to see how it plays out. I mean, it'd be nice to get both of us in a little bit ahead of more of the playoffs.
Well, sometimes we start to see cautions breed more cautions. You know, I get it. I said you're in 3rd now. You get up to 2nd, or even if you stay 2nd behind. I know you said you'd like to see your teammate get the win. If it's not your teammate, is there any thought of a little bit of a bump and run, or do you, again, just keep it consistent for the points here at the end?
Yeah, you just got to watch and see that. I can't let my secrets out on the stream. I won't bump and run my teammate, but if it's not my teammate, I might.
All right, well, we'll leave it there. Looking forward to it. Good luck the rest of the way. We'll see if you can get that first one of the season here tonight.
All right, thank you, sir.
There you go. Well, I love how driver demeanors change up. He said, I'm not going to move my teammate, but if it's someone else, sure, and nothing wrong with that, but that's what keeps it exciting. And Boy, Clinton Woodby, can he get the job done here tonight after a little bit of a strategy call? It seemed like it went wrong. Seemed like it wasn't the right call. But it's worked out now, and cannot forget about David Traylor. He was the dominant truck early and now finds himself back on the front row for a restart with what is going to be 9 laps to go. Back into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back in the air at Richmond. Good start for Clinton Woodby. Gets out to a 2 truck length lead. Further back, they're going to fan out 2, almost 3 wide down into turn 1. Joe Yakes, Keith Prince, Nicholas Lawrence, David Traylor, 4 trucks on the outside. Beverly, he's going to jump up now as well. And everybody diving it deep into the corner, trying to find some extra stick with the tires, anything to pick up positions now, as there is no more tire saving. 8 laps to go, and up front, it is a battle between Woodby and Traylor. Oh, contact out back, and they save it, they can't. Oh, Keith Prince is going to go around. Caution is out, as, oh, Prince gets tagged at the end by Haas Beverly. And that is a heartbreaker for Keith Prince, who made the comeback after getting involved in an early spin by himself. Didn't bring out the caution, had to use a fast repair. And unfortunately, by using that, he does not have one left, and that truck, I think, is beyond help. And he might still be able to finish the race, though, as he's in a pretty great hurry to get back up here. I'm thinking he's not happy with somebody here. See if that's the case or not. He's moving back to the front here. Unless he's just getting his position back. I don't think so. I'm thinking he was not too happy with somebody. As he's going to duck down, and well, that's going to be, oh, he spins him out. Oh, Keith Prince is going to turn around Nicholas Lawrence. He is not happy with the 8, and I knew he was waiting on somebody. It was just a matter of who. And Nicholas Lawrence, I don't think that's going to do too much damage, but that might hurt the ego, hurt the feelings a little bit. Boy, it has been fight night here at Richmond. But you understand the frustration for Haas, right? I mean, he's in the not Haas, for Keith. He's in the playoffs. Talked about the wreck he got in early, got the truck fixed up. And, you know, we haven't looked at the incident yet, but based off what we saw, assuming that he may have gotten some help there from a driver that's not in the playoffs, which, you know, when you get to the playoffs as a driver in it, you kind of expect a little bit more respect in close racing with guys that aren't in it. And let's go back and, before I say anything else, see for ourselves exactly what got Keith Prince turned around right here. This is going into turn 1. Ooh, Lawrence just misses the braking zone. That's all there is to it. Misses it big time, too. Runs straight into the back of Keith Prince and spins him around. Prince tried to save it, but just could not do so, and then gets clipped right there by Haas Beverly at the end. So he might be getting a talk with the admins after the race for it. But yeah, he just misjudged it, but really bad. I mean, I don't know if Lawrence had an issue or if he just got caught. Maybe, I'm not sure, but he definitely got way too deep right there into the braking zone. And then you thought that was the end of the wreck. Let me let you in on something. It was not. Watch Keith Prince here. He's fired up. Gets back on the throttle. He's going to drive this thing around looking like a modified. No front bumper, no front fender. Like I said, he was in a hurry here. I figured he was looking for somebody, and it's exactly what he was doing here. You see Nicholas Lawrence jump down there. Keith Prince says, where is he at? He's going to duck down here, looks for him. And now he's going to drive down in front of him here, as I think Lawrence was ready for the first one there, which he was. Keith lets him go around, and boom! Turns him right around. I'm sure there was some radio chatter to go along with it. And that's how it goes down. So as we go back live, Clinton Woodby still being scored as your leader. David Traylor second, Joe Yakes third, Colton Hardy fourth, and Jesse Calloway rounding out your top 5. Well, we've tried a couple post-wreck interviews. I've loved them. I have got to hear what Keith Prince is thinking after that one. Let's get him up here for a quick word. Hey, Keith Prince, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, man, we saw the post-caution fireworks there. First things first, real quick, before we go back green. Break us down what happened there, and was there a little bit of a, I didn't appreciate that afterwards?
Oh yeah, he's a non-playoff driver. I've ran him clean, passing him all night long, and then he drives the corner and dumps me in the middle, and I'm still working my way back up there, racing for a top 5. So.
Absolutely. Well, we hate to see the damage. No.
I've got about 8 more minutes of damage, so I'm not going to be able to do anything here. But
well, looking like a modified. Well, I'll tell you what, you certainly made some fans from the viewers back home, but hey, good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Green flag back in the air. It's going to be 2 laps to go. Overtime number 1 here, and so far, it's a good restart for Clinton Woodby, but he's going to have a lot of pressure out back from David Traylor. Well, with as much physicality and contact as we've seen so far tonight, don't be surprised if we see a bump and run. Can we make it official? Yes, we can. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go, Richmond. Clinton Woodby looking for his first win of the playoffs here. Can he hold on? David Traylor has 1 more set of corners to try to make the move if he wants to do so. Wrecking out back, that was Beverly and Callaway. Traylor's going to dive it in. It won't be enough. How about this? Clinton Woodby out of turn 4. He is going to win it in Richmond. Gets the win for T4R. I don't think it was T4R. Actually gets the job done, for White Knuckles Racing. And what a win it was. Had to work for it. Had to even use a little bit of strategy to get it. But he got the job done. See the congratulatory bumps from a couple of his fellow competitors. Now, by the way, we did see a wreck. Normally we don't really look at the wrecks, but this last wreck involved a couple of playoff contenders. Looked like it started right around Mark Beverly and Jesse Callaway's region. And let's see here. Do these two just get tangled up off of 2 here? Hard racing, and yeah, just really hard racing on the last lap. And then Mark bounces off the outside wall. Oh my goodness, 11 to Hegdahl keeps his foot in it and splits the gap. I don't know how, but that's exactly what he did. And then Callaway got tagged a couple different times here as everybody tried to make the mad dash through it. Jeremy Tolley, Jesse Wise. So that'll shuffle up the playoff picture for a couple of guys right at the end. As Clinton Woodby continues to burn it down here on the front stretch at Richmond Raceway. Let's look at your finishing results here on the night. Clinton Woodby, again, your winner. David Traylor brings home 2nd. Colton Hardy in 3rd. Joe Yates 4th. Eric Hegdahl in 5th. Mark Beverly 6th. Evan Schilling in 7th. Jay Stinson in 8th with Nicholas Lawrence in 9th. And Jesse Wise rounding out your top 10. Jonathan Herbert 11th. Bill Hales in 12th. Jeremy Tolley 13th with Jesse Callaway in 14th. Michael Newman 15th, Keith Prince in 16th, Haas Beverly in 17th with Brody Benty in 18th. And rounding out the field here tonight in 19th and 20th is Rick LePage and Andrew Hansley. All right, we are going to go get your top 3 in here for interviews as the 92 continues to celebrate. Stay with us. We're right back at Richmond. All right, back live at Richmond Raceway. Going to start first here tonight with your 3rd place finisher, Colton Hardy. Colton, this is Austin Booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, you bring home a podium and you see your teammate get the win. Man, didn't seem like it was maybe podium speed at the start of the race, but you kept working. You found it by the end. How'd you do it?
We worked on the car all through the night here, and strategy played a huge part into it with the pit stops and the way the cautions fell. And the caution that came out right there in the middle of the caution that came out in the middle of that pit strategy kind of helped a lot, helped screwed a lot of other guys. But no, this is one of my strong tracks, so I knew coming in I was going to have a good run, and I just wanted to take it easy, fill it out for the first half of the race, and it paid off in the second half.
Yeah, it certainly did. And you talked about consistency in the interview just before one of the last few restarts in terms of getting the points, and you got some points here tonight, some comfortable points. Does that mean you go all out for the win at Michigan, or do you just keep it consistent and go for some more points?
It just depends on how the points look. I'm not one of the guys who are going to put myself in a situation to take myself out of the points in a wreck or something like that. So I would rather sneak in rather than knock myself out drastically. So I'll do whatever it takes. I'm hoping hoping tonight helps a lot with some extra points and some stage points, and hoping that puts us in a better spot for next week to where we can just hopefully get some stage points and then be in an okay place.
Absolutely. Well, before we let you head out here tonight to go celebrate with your teammate, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, all my teammates, Jay Stinson, Clinton, Woodby, they are amazing men. Helped me through a lot, especially through my first year of league racing, and my sponsor, Blair Peterson, the winning bid. He's one of the sponsors, the big sponsors here. I'm sure you guys see the commercials there. He's a great dude, and just want to thank everybody for racing clean tonight there at the beginning, let me get into position and knock it out with a third, and great job, Clinton, for getting the win.
Thank you, of course, for talking to us again. Congrats on third place finish, and we will see you next week at Michigan.
Hey, thanks, Austin. Great job as always, man.
All right, and now that'll bring us to your second place finisher here tonight, David Traylor. David, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy? All right, well, you come up just a little bit short right there at the end. I was wondering if you were close enough to try a bump and run. How close was it from your point of view? Is there anything you wish you would have done different?
No, I mean, I thought about it, when I saw the white flag. I knew I probably was maybe close enough, but I was talking to Clinton there, and I told him, I don't have the skill then the finesse to do a bump and run. If I try it, I'm just going to end up dumping the guy in front of me. So once we came off 2 there and he had got a pretty good run, I just kind of decided to just hit my marks, and if he did slip up, I would try to shoot the gap, but no, I don't have the skill for a bump and run, so I didn't want to ruin somebody's race there with 2 to go.
Well, you rack home another good finish here tonight, and you did good in the regular season in terms of finishing right on top for points, and you kind of maintain that position here tonight, so that gives you a bit of a cushion into next week. How comfortable are you feeling about your chances of potentially going for the win next week at Michigan?
I like Michigan. It's good for pack racing. You can really start anywhere, and as long as you don't get caught in a wreck, it's pretty easy to stay competitive. But overall, I'm ecstatic with a second place finish. You saw there, I don't know what I was doing wrong. After about 30 laps, the truck just turned off. I couldn't roll the center of the corner very well. I even tried widening my entry. Tried widening my exit, nothing worked. I just kept falling off harder and harder. So that last rash of cautions was actually a saving grace for me. We might have been battling for a top 10 instead of a top 3. So, but going into Michigan, I feel pretty good. 8th last week, 2nd this week. So hopefully just another solid week, and we can move on.
Well, before we let you head out here tonight, is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, thanks to my teammates, Evan, Brody, Rick. They had some tough races. Keith, I'll just say he took care of business. He had a tough go, and I understand the situation. And then thanks to the league admins for putting this league on. It's awesome every week. I know towards the playoffs here, it gets tighter, tempers get hotter. You saw it on track tonight. So if you can produce that, that's pretty good for a league. Thank you to you, everybody over there on Ghost Racing Network. Awesome broadcast every week. I love going back and watching it. Thanks to the people on the truck, JC Newman Cigar Company, Mushroom Top Tea, Rick LePage Designs, and then thank you to my dad watching at home and my fiance for letting me do this.
Thank you, of course, for talking to us again. Congrats on the second place finish, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, Austin.
All right, and now that's going to bring us to your race winner here on the night, Clinton Woodby in the 92. Clinton, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy.
Bud, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Well, I'll tell you what, you capture the win here tonight. What a time to do it. Second race of the playoffs. You had to make a little bit of a strategy call to do it. Walk us through that call on the green flag stops and how you felt like it ultimately led to you getting the job done there.
Yeah, honestly, the last green flag caution we had on that run just kind of helped. I was on 2 right side tires. It was working, but I could just tell that's probably where I was going to end up. I got caught speeding on one of those stops too, and ended up restarting behind a few lappers, but they were able to let me go pretty easily. And teammate Colton kind of gave me a fit, but I expect nothing different. You know what I mean? You got to race for every position. You're not going to give up a top 5. But yeah, that second to last stop, I think it was, I took 2 lefts. David said he took 2 rights, and I think that's where I was able to beat him off pit road, because 2 lefts are usually faster than 2 rights. So I think that's really what put me out in front.
Certainly did. And now that you've got that win here in the first round of the playoffs, it takes the pressure off a bit for Michigan. How does this kind of help you carry that momentum forward, though, as we move into the next round in a couple weeks?
I'm just going to go for another one. Michigan's a pretty good track for me, so maybe we can make it 2 in a row.
Absolutely. Well, before we let you go tonight to celebrate in Victory Lane, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Oh, yeah, huge shout out to my girlfriend, Megan, #1 supporter. Blair, winning bid Diecast, go get everything NASCAR related from him. Nirjuana for coming on board this year. I've got Wits and Lawn Care this year. Appreciate them coming on board. They usually always watch, and this year they decided to sponsor, so appreciate that. And everybody watching, my buddy Seth, Bradley, Melvin, everybody if they're watching, appreciate it.
And thank you, of course, for talking to us again. Congrats on the win, and we'll see you next week at Michigan.
All right, have a good one. Appreciate you for the broadcast.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that is going to wrap up our coverage here tonight from Richmond Raceway. What a race it was. We had tempers, we had great racing, and we had Clinton Woodby as your winner tonight. Thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, I hope that you enjoyed. As actually, before we go, we got a request to see an onboard view for Eric Hegdahl. And you know what? Why not? Let's go back to it before we officially wrap this thing up here tonight. Eric Hegdahl, we saw from the TV view, shoot the gap to miss some of the wrecking trucks on the last lap, and see what it looked like from the onboard view here. So Mark Beverly and Jesse Calloway get tangled up. He says, I'm staying in it, staying in it. Oh, my goodness. Just makes it through, washes up, but it was clear sailing from there. What a job by Eric Hegdahl to miss that last lap wreck. All right, that'll officially do it here tonight. Again, thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope that you enjoyed. We'll be back next Friday with more Asphalt Outlaws Racing Truck Series action and the final race in the round of 16. Until then, have a good night.